evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. A few weeks ago, a driver for a charter bus company reached out to reporters at Fox 17 in Nashville. She'd been told not to speak to the media, but she did it anyway. Why? Because what she was seeing every day on the job was so strange, so without precedent in her 20-year career as a driver, that she felt she had to tell the public about it. Starting this April, the bus driver said, government agents began instructing her to pick up busloads of migrant children, foreign nationals from Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, etc. The driver wasn't given any information beyond that. She was just told to take those children deep into the interior of the United States, away from the border, and do it as quickly as possible. Quote, there have been some drop-offs in Nashville, some in Knoxville, some in Chattanooga, a couple in Atlanta, the driver said. That's just as far as I go. Then the children continue on further. Another source familiar with what's going on told Fox 17 that some of these foreign nationals were taken as far away as New York and Chicago and Miami. But there's a problem. If you're trying to change the population of a country without the people who already live there finding out, it's tough to do it with buses. Because when you pull a bus packed with illegal migrants from a foreign country without the proper ID, without the right to be in this country at all, people tend to notice. So the Biden administration came up with a different plan. Quote, now they're flying the kids because the buses were easier to videotape going down the highway. Ask yourself, by the way, since we've been talking a lot about democracy in this country, everything is a threat to democracy. If you change the population of a country without the consent of the people who live there, is that democracy? Doesn't that country belong to the people who live there? It's their country. That's what democracy is. But what if a small number of hardened ideologues decided to take it away from those people and give it to foreign nationals? That would not be democracy. By the way, some of the footage of buses hauling illegal migrants was shot by the Center for Immigration Studies back in March, and we have a clip. Here it is.
What's happening most of the time is that they are boarding buses and heading into America's heartland. A conveyor belt of commercial and charter buses, just like this one in Del Rio, Texas, are carrying tens of thousands sight unseen from Texas, Arizona, and California borderlands northward. And they are dropping their Haitian, Venezuelan, Cuban, and Central American family units in Florida and New Jersey, Tennessee, Massachusetts, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky, and to large cities in Texas, such as Dallas and Houston.
How is this not the biggest story in the country? You're changing the population of America without the consent of Americans. You're doing it secretly on a huge scale, and no one's noticing? 6 months after Inauguration Day, the borders are more open than ever. And it tells you everything you need to know about how the Biden administration approaches immigration. They're not going to stop the flow of illegal migrants across our southern border. No. Instead, they give those migrants free transportation to anywhere in the United States that they choose. And when you notice that they're doing it, they don't stop. They just find a different way to do it, a new method of transportation. How is this not an invasion? That's exactly what it is. And it's being embedded by the Biden administration. Here are the numbers. In May of last year, a total of 24,000 people were encountered by authorities at the southwestern land border. In May of this year, that number had risen to 180,000. 180,000 people. That's the equivalent of the entire city of Chattanooga, Tennessee, showing up at the southern border every single month. And we're not cherry-picking data, by the way. That's true every month. Last April, for example, 17,000 people showed up at the southern border. This April, the number was 178,000. It's that kind of increase, dramatic to the point that your eyes pop open, every month of this year since Joe Biden became president. In all, the number of illegal immigrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border this fiscal year is already at its highest level since 2006, with 4 months still uncounted. Here's what it actually looks like at the Rio Grande.
In less than an hour, the smugglers have brought a group of at least 60 migrants into the United States just in this spot alone, many of them women and children. Border Patrol buses can't get down to the river's edge, so agents have to lead the migrants up a hill to a processing area. That's where they're joined by other migrants who have also illegally crossed on rafts in the area. It's big business for the human smugglers, who continue to benefit the most from the ongoing border crisis.
So that report makes an important point. A lot of the people coming over are just economic migrants. They're moving from very poor countries to the largest welfare state in the world, which is our country. And why wouldn't they do that? You'd probably do the same if you could. We shouldn't allow them, but you can't blame them for wanting to. But not all of them are good people with obvious human motives like that. Some of them are very bad people. Some of them have pre-existing criminal records. According to Customs and Border Protection, immigration authorities have arrested 760 illegal migrants since October, just in the Laredo section of the Texas border. Last year, during the same period, they arrested only 60 people. So that's a 900% increase in the number of illegal immigrants detained with criminal backgrounds. By the way, that's not all who came here. Those are just the ones that we detained. We should tell you that includes sex offenders and gang members, not just drunk drivers. And it includes a lot of drug traffickers. Mexico's in the middle of a drug war right now, a real one. According to the Texas Department of Public Safety, just in the last year, fentanyl seizures at the southern border have surged more than 800%, and that's just in Texas. Keep in mind, fentanyl is extremely difficult to detect. It doesn't take much. It's odorless and colorless. It's very easy to smuggle fentanyl. That's why they do it. Seeing the OD rates in the United States, they're off the charts. Those deaths are being fed by the drug trade coming across our southern border. It's killing Americans. So this is a disaster, and the numbers prove it. But according to Kamala Harris, it's progress.
To the men and women who are on the ground doing the job every day, I commend all of them for the success that they have seen thus far. I'd call it progress. We're not exactly where we want to be yet, but we have seen extreme progress over these last few months.
Extreme progress as the numbers rise and as the Biden administration, without your permission or knowledge, but at your expense, moves some unknown thousands of people into the interior of the United States where they begin new lives, again, on federal programs. Not a slam on them, but it's an attack, and one we should all join in, on the people making it possible. The question is, what can you do about it? The administration is out of control. There's no oversight at all from the Congress, certainly not from the media. The stakes couldn't be higher. At this point, there's only one way to stop it. And there's only one man who can. His name is Greg Abbott. He is the governor of Texas. The governor of Texas could send the National Guard to the border and seal it. It's his border, too. There are 19,000 soldiers in the Texas National Guard. As of tonight, we believe Greg Abbott has deployed a mere 500 of them to the border. Why is that? Why not seal the border between Texas and Mexico? California is not going to do it. Arizona may or may not. Texas could tomorrow. Why aren't they? We wanted to ask Greg Abbott that question, but he refused to come on. One senior official in the state of Texas has agreed to address that question, and we're going to talk to him in just a minute. We want to begin tonight with someone who is down there, firsthand, seeing what's happening. One of the few reporters who has covered our open borders, and that's Julio Rosas. Last night, he was in Roma, Texas. While he was speaking, a coyote showed up bringing migrants across the river in a raft. Here's what it looked like.
We are here in Roma, Texas. Right now, the Rio Grande is right behind me. And what's going on right now is coyotes are bringing over the illegal immigrants. Right here, this spot in Roma is a very popular crossing area. There's no Border Patrol, there's no National Guard, there's no Texas Highway Patrol. It's just us. They're over here.
Wow.
And there's still more people across the bank from us as well. So this is far from the last trip.